Did the transplant work? The nurse, cold, professional. The transplant was successful, Miss Elara. The daughter is recovering in the VIP suite. Elara, take me to them. I want to see my husband. The nurse doesn't move. She places the maid uniform on the end of the hospital bed. Mr. Sterling left specific instructions. He said that now that the procedure is complete, your presence in the family wing is no longer necessary. He has arranged for a porter to wheel you back to the servants' quarters once you can stand. Elara freezes. Tears fill her eyes. Servants' quarters? But I'm his wife. He also left this. The nurse hands her an envelope. It's not a love letter. It's a check, a payment for her organ. I didn't save his daughter because of the money. I did it because I loved him, and he just paid me off like a butcher buying a cut of meat. Used, harvested, and discarded, Elara is bleeding, broken, and alone. But Adrian Sterling just made one mistake. He let her survive, and she's about to make him regret every single drop of blood he took. The envelope was cream-colored, expensive paper, the kind that didn't bend when you held it. I turned it over in my hands 3 times before I opened it, standing in the staff corridor where the fluorescent lights hummed too loud and made everything look sickly. My shift didn't end for another 2 hours, but Mrs. Chen had pulled me aside during lunch and handed it to me like it was made of glass. "Mr. Sterling wants to see you," she'd said, "in his office, today at 4. I'd worked at the Sterling estate for 3 years. I'd scrubbed his floors, washed his windows, changed his sheets. I'd been invisible, furniture with a pulse. And now he wanted to see me. My hands were shaking as I walked down the east corridor, the one with mirrors in gold frames and carpet so thick it swallowed the sound of my cheap shoes. I caught my reflection and stopped. My uniform was clean, but faded from too many washes. My hair was pulled back tight because loose strands were unprofessional. I looked exactly like what I was, desperate, expendable. When I reached his office door, I knocked twice. "Come in." His voice was different than I'd imagined, warmer. I stepped inside. Adrian Sterling sat behind a desk made of dark wood that probably cost more than my mother's house. He was younger than I'd thought, maybe 35, with dark hair and the kind of face that belonged in magazines. But it was his eyes that stopped me. He was looking at me, really looking, not through me, at me. "Elara," he said. My name. He knew my name. 3 days after the meeting, Mr. Whittemore grabbed my arm in the main kitchen. His fingers dug in hard enough to bruise, and his breath smelled like coffee and cruelty. "You think you're special now, getting called to his office? You're still nothing." I'd broken a glass that morning, an accident. My hands were raw from bleach, and I'd lost my grip. Mr. Whittemore was the senior household manager, and he'd been waiting for me to fail for months. He didn't like that I kept my head down and did my work. He wanted fear. "You'll pay for that glass," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Out of your wages, and you'll stay late tonight to clean the greenhouse alone." The other staff looked away. "That's what you did. You survived." Then the kitchen door opened. Adrian Sterling walked in. He never came to the kitchen. The room went silent. "Mr. Whittemore," Adrian said quietly, "you're fired. Security will escort you out. You have 20 minutes to collect your things." Mr. Whittemore's face went red, then white. "Sir, you were just putting your hands on my staff." Adrian's voice was still quiet, quiet like a blade. "Get out of my house." After Mr. Whittemore left, Adrian turned to me. "Elara, my office, now." I followed him on shaking legs. He closed the door behind us and gestured to a chair. Real upholstery. I sat on the edge. He poured tea from a silver pot, handed me a cup. I was too afraid to drink it. "Tell me about your family," he said. The coat appeared on my locker on a Tuesday morning, deep blue wool with buttons that actually matched. I lifted it carefully, looking for a tag, a mistake, proof it wasn't meant for me. There was a note pinned inside. "You shouldn't be cold. A.S." I wore it home that night. It fit perfectly. My mother noticed immediately. "Where did you get that?" she asked, her voice sharp with worry. Poor people didn't get things like this. "A bonus," I lied. "From work." She didn't believe me, but she didn't push. We needed me to keep that job more than we needed the truth. The coat became a routine. Then coffee appeared at my cleaning station, still hot. Then Adrian started asking me to have dinner with him and Lily, his daughter. The first time I met Lily, she was lying in a hospital-style bed that had been set up in her room. She was 6 years old, with her father's dark hair and eyes too tired for a child. Tubes ran from her arm to an IV stand. "Are you Elara?" she asked. "Daddy says you're nice." I sat on the edge of her bed. "I am, and you must be Lily." "I'm sick," she said matter-of-factly, "but Daddy says I'm going to get better." I looked at Adrian. His face was carefully blank, but I saw the fear underneath, the desperate hope. "Of course you are," I told Lily. She took my hand. Her fingers were small and cold. "Will you read to me?" That night, I went back to the servants' quarters and stared at the ceiling. I'd started checking my reflection before work, started hoping I'd run into him in the hallways, started imagining things that people like me didn't get to imagine. I was falling, and I didn't know how to stop. My phone buzzed at 11 p.m. I'd been lying awake, counting water stains on the ceiling of my tiny room. The text was from a number I'd saved under AS, like a teenager with a secret. "Are you awake?" I stared at the words for a full minute before typing back. "Yes." "Meet me in the library." I should have said no, should have remembered my place. Instead, I pulled on jeans and the blue coat and walked through the dark house like I had permission to exist there after hours. He was standing by the window when I arrived, still in his work clothes but with his tie loosened. He looked human, tired. "I'm sorry," he said. "I shouldn't have texted so late. I can't sleep." "Lily?" I asked. He nodded. "The doctors are running out of options. They've tried 3 treatments. Nothing's working." I didn't think. I just walked over and stood next to him, not touching, but close enough that he'd know he wasn't alone. "She's strong," I said. "I can see it." "You're good with her." His voice was soft. "She asks about you, wants to know when you're coming back." Something in my chest cracked open. "I'll come whenever she wants." He turned to look at me then, and the expression on his face made my breath catch. Like I mattered. Like I was someone who could save things. 2 weeks later, my mother's mortgage company sent another letter. Final notice. Foreclosure proceedings. I sat on my bed with the paper in my hands and cried silently, the way you learn to cry when walls are thin. Adrian found me the next day. I don't know how he knew. "What's wrong?" he asked. I shouldn't have told him, but I was drowning and he was offering a hand. I showed him the letter. He took it from me, read it once, and said 5 words that changed everything. "Let me take care of you." The ring appeared 3 weeks later. Adrian brought me to Lily's hospital room. She'd been admitted again, her numbers dropping, and he knelt down between us, between his dying daughter and the maid he'd been courting. The ring was enormous, a diamond that caught the fluorescent hospital lights and threw rainbows across Lily's IV stand. "Marry me," Adrian said. Not a question, a rescue, an answer. "Say yes," Lily said, clapping her hands despite the tubes. "Please, Elara, say yes, then you can be my real mom." The air conditioning was too cold. The monitors beeped steadily. The ring felt foreign and heavy when he slid it onto my 4th finger, over the calluses from 3 years of scrubbing floors. "Yes," I whispered. Adrian kissed my forehead, not my lips, my forehead, like I was something precious but fragile. Then his phone rang. "I need to take this," he said, already standing. "It's Hong Kong." He stepped into the hallway. Through the window, I watched him pace, his voice animated, laughing about something that wasn't us. Lily squeezed my hand. "We're going to be a family," she said. I looked at the ring, at this little girl who'd claimed me as hers, at the man in the hallway who'd made me feel visible. "Yes," I said again. "We are." But the ring felt like it belonged to someone else, someone who fit in rooms like this, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was playing dress-up in a life I hadn't earned. The wedding was on a Thursday. The dress arrived the morning of, in a box with tissue paper that rustled like money. It fit perfectly. Someone had measured me without asking, without me noticing. The ceremony was in the estate's garden. 10 people attended. The officiant, Adrian's lawyer, a photographer, some business associates whose names I didn't catch, Lily in a wheelchair wearing a yellow dress. Not my mother. She couldn't afford the flight, and I couldn't admit I was marrying a billionaire without explaining why I'd never mentioned him before. Not Adrian's family. He said they were estranged. The word felt like a wall. The photographer posed us like mannequins. Hand here, chin up, smile, but softer. Adrian's hand on my waist was gentle but impersonal. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Adrian kissed me. On the lips, this time. It was brief, appropriate. It tasted like champagne he'd drunk before the ceremony, and something else. Something I couldn't name. After, there was cake I couldn't eat because my stomach was twisted. Lily ate 2 pieces, and that felt like the point of everything. That night, I went back to the master bedroom in my wedding dress and waited. Adrian came at midnight. "I'm sorry," he said. "Lily needs me close tonight. She's having nightmares." "Of course," I said. "Go." He left. I took off the dress and hung it in a closet the size of my mother's living room. I slept alone in a bed big enough for 4 people, in sheets that cost more than my monthly salary used to be. When I woke up the next morning, my ring was twisted backward. The diamond had left a small red mark on my palm. I told myself tomorrow would feel more real. I told myself marriage took time. I told myself I hadn't made a mistake.
Kindly subscribe, like, and hype to our channel now. A New Year blessings awaits you. Ho, ho, ho.
The scream came at 2:17 in the morning. I knew because I'd been lying awake, counting the minutes until dawn. I ran toward Lily's room in my nightgown, my feet bare on cold marble. Adrian was already there, holding Lily while she seized, her small body jerking in his arms. "Call 911!" he shouted. The ambulance took 12 minutes. The hospital was 15 minutes away. By the time we arrived, Lily had stopped breathing twice. They rushed her to intensive care, while Adrian and I sat in a waiting room with plastic chairs and magazines from 2 years ago. He held his head in his hands. I wanted to touch him, but didn't know if I was allowed. At 4 a.m., a doctor came out. "She's stable, but she's out of time. Days, maybe a week. Without a transplant, she won't make it." "We're on every registry," Adrian said. His voice was breaking. "We've searched globally. There's no match." The doctor looked at me. "Have you been tested, Mrs. Sterling?" No, I didn't think." "Test her," Adrian said. "Test her now." They took my blood. Adrian and I sat in silence while we waited. When he finally spoke, his voice was so quiet I almost didn't hear it. "If you match." He didn't finish. Didn't need to. At 6 a.m., the doctor returned. "Mrs. Sterling, you're a perfect match, 100%. We'd need bone marrow and a partial liver donation. It's extensive, painful, high risk." Adrian turned to me. For the first time since I'd met him, I saw him cry. "Elara." My name. Not a question, a prayer. I didn't hesitate. "Take whatever she needs. Take all of me if you have to." The relief on his face looked almost like love. Almost. He took my hand. "I'll be with you through everything," he said. "I promise." That was the last promise he kept. Pre-op was a series of forms and needles and people explaining things I barely understood. bone marrow harvest, partial hepatectomy, 6-hour surgery, 4-week recovery, possible complications, infection, hemorrhage, chronic pain, death. I signed everything. Adrian stayed with me through it all, held my hand while they inserted the IV, brushed hair from my face while they explained the anesthesia. The hospital gown tied in the back and made me feel exposed, vulnerable. I tried to joke about it, but my voice shook. "I've worn worse," I said. Adrian didn't laugh. He just looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. At 7 a.m., they came to wheel me to the operating room. The hallway lights were too bright. The ceiling tiles passed overhead in a rhythm that matched my heartbeat. Adrian walked beside the gurney, his hand wrapped around mine. "I love you," I said. I hadn't said it before, hadn't dared. But if I was going to die on that table, I needed him to know. He squeezed my hand. "You're so brave," he said. Not, "I love you too." But I told myself that was close enough. We reached the OR doors. Through the windows, I could see the surgical team preparing, machines and lights and people in masks. "Mr. Sterling, this is where you stop," a nurse said gently. Adrian leaned down, kissed my forehead again. "Thank you for saving my daughter." The anesthesia mask came down over my face. The world started to blur, to fade. The last thing I saw was Adrian's face. The last thing I felt was his hand going limp in mine, letting go. The last thing I heard was his voice, cold and clinical, nothing like the man who'd courted me. "Is the extraction team ready? Make sure both organs are viable. We can't afford complications." The pain was the first thing I knew. Before consciousness, before memory. Just pain radiating from my right side and lower back like I'd been split open and sewn back together wrong. I tried to open my eyes. The light was too bright. Generic ceiling tiles. Not the private suite Adrian had described. A standard recovery room, the kind insurance covers. I turned my head. The movement made me gasp. No flowers, no Adrian. A plastic water pitcher on a rolling table. A blood pressure cuff beeping steadily. A clock that said it was 3 p.m. I'd been in surgery for 8 hours. I'd been awake for 30 seconds. Where was my husband? A nurse came in. Young, tired. She checked my vitals without meeting my eyes. "How are you feeling, Mrs. Sterling?" "Where's Adrian?" My voice was sandpaper. "Mr. Sterling was notified that you're awake. I'm sure he'll visit when he can." When he can. Not, he's on his way. Not, he's been waiting. When he can. "Can I have more pain medication?" "You're on the maximum dose. You'll adjust." She left. I stared at the ceiling and counted the tiles. 36. At some point, I slept. When I woke, it was dark outside. A hospital administrator came in with a clipboard. "Mrs. Sterling, we're making arrangements for your continued recovery. Mr. Sterling has requested you be transferred to the West Wing guest quarters. It's more quiet there." "Guest quarters?" I repeated. "Not the master bedroom?" She smiled. Professional. Empty. Mr. Sterling felt the main house would be too loud for someone recovering from major surgery. "The West Wing is very comfortable. You'll have everything you need." Everything except my husband. They moved me the next day. The West Wing was where staff stayed when they worked late, where I used to stay. I was back where I started, except now I had a scar that ran from my side to my spine, and another where they drilled into my hip bone, and a ring on my finger that felt like a lie.